Your ideas can make you rich. They can make you a fortune. Because your ideas is what you think about, my cliche says, comes about. And there's 5 basic ways to build a fortune. And then we're going to go deep with it. But the macro picture is real simple. You all know it. You got to have products. Got to have services. You can be in the information business. You can be in the idea business. We're going to go deep on that. And you can be in the personality business. Those are the 5 basic ways. Products. The guy that could not sleep with his wife because he snored all night said there's got to be a way. And he kept trying to do it inside his nostrils and it didn't work. And Bruce figured it out. Took him 5 years. He created Breathe Right as a product that you take this side to this side, opens up your nostrils. He could start to sleep with his wife. He got it to the football teams. He sold 100 million in the first 9 months and then sold the company for billions. One little product idea. What do I teach you about an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur finds a problem, fixes it, leverages it or scales it, makes a vast profit, and then exits profitably. That's like a real product idea. Service, there's all kinds of service businesses, but I'm just going to talk about one that's here in Arizona called Discount Tire. I never heard of the company before. I really was here in Arizona. Now I knew the guy in Horatio Algier. I'm a Horatio Algier winner, and Bruce Haley and his wife, won the Horatio Algier Award like I did. But I never went to Discount Tire until one day I'm at the gas station and they say, look, our air machine's down, but if you just go around the corner, they give free air. I thought, what a brilliant idea. You come, you fill up your car tires, and they say, hey, wait a second, look, this tire and this tire are a little shallow, they're a little too thin. You need new tires on this and this, and we ought to rotate the tires, and we do it all here while you're here in just a few minutes. And I thought, they give away free air, a service, and then get to sell you tires. Brilliant. A little idea to get you in a big idea. The other guy that did that is my friend Wally Famous Amos. Started out in Beverly Hills, made chocolate chip cookies. Wally Famous Amos, chocolate chip cookies. He and I are very close friends. We've been each other's house guests. We've traveled around the friendly. If you ever get a chance to hear Wally, you want to hear him. We've swam together, and we both owned houses in different islands in Hawaii. So he come over to my island, the Big Island, or I go over to Oahu. He was on North Shore next to my other friend, Wyland. But the point is, he started by giving away chocolate chip cookies. Everybody loved him. Pretty soon he made it big. Pretty soon he had a whole thing. Pretty soon he sold it out for hundreds of millions of dollars. The trouble is he sold his name too, which goes to the next thing, the information business. And we're going to go deep in the information business because I want all of you to understand you can be an infopreneur, an information entrepreneur. It is a front-end business. It didn't exist 100 years ago, because we didn't have telegraphy, we didn't have telephones, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have software, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Google. All that stuff has changed. The next one is just be in the raw idea business. Now, the idea business is called intellectual property. Think businesses, books, audios, videos, franchises, software, business opportunities, which is, rather than go franchise, if you can, you want to do a business opportunity. Franchises have 2,000 pages of paperwork. Business opportunity, like my neighbor in Hawaii, had Sign World, and he had everybody pay $250,000, and then they had to buy all the ink and all the paper and everything from him. But he started it. There's titles, there's URLs. My friend who wrote Get Rich Click book, and I wrote the foreword to it, wrote down, I think it was 200,000 URL names. He sold one of them, called business.com, for $37 million. Amazing what you can do. Apps just started a short time ago, and they were going crazy. And the best app hadn't been done yet, because maybe you should do it. The best song hasn't been written yet. Maybe you should do it. The best invention hasn't been invented yet. Maybe you should do it. Now, I write that everyone's got a book in them, and I've written a book called You Have a Book in You, and I hope you get it and read it and then come through our whole seminar on that if you're ready to do it. Personality. This has lots of zones, too. Like when my wife moved here to Arizona and a baby on her hip and no husband, divorced. First of all, she was a Kelly girl and her personality was so great. Somebody said, you ought to be a model. Goes to the biggest modeling agency and they say, we want you to do this, 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 and this. And she ended up getting SAG and the Screen Actors Guild best insurance for her and her little baby. But she didn't know that was a personality possibility even. It's one thing to read magazines or see models on TV. It's a whole other thing to see that that can be a business, and then you can do commercials, and then you can do TV, and then you can do advertising, and on and on and on. All of us have that. Sometimes I'm a personality that sells to sell watches, to sell clothes, I own a tie company. It's just amazing what you can do once you start thinking, like Napoleon Hill said, think and grow rich. But I want you to talk to yourself about becoming an information entrepreneur. I call them an info entrepreneur. Remember, information is infinite, but somebody's got to be the browser, somebody's got to be the collator, somebody's got to be the curator, somebody's got to put it together at levels. And yes, we curated the best short stories, and yes, we got 144 people reject us, and yes, our first agent fired us. But we knew that the stories were irresistible. We knew the stories were compelling. We knew that the stories would work. We knew that the stories would take people from where they are to where they want to be. The possibilities of a publishing career are infinite. You can do articles, you can do seminars, and now we're getting out of going into a post-COVID confinement cocoon breakout. And people are desperate, they're hungry. I mean, we're booked for a lot of seminars, and first day, one of the seminars has got 3,500 people pay for it and coming to it. So sort of amazing. So the seminar business is coming back. The coaching business has been really good virtually, but it's going to be even bigger, better. The training business. Everybody's got to get retrained, and everybody is doing certification programs now because they're saying, hey, wait a second. University used to be a place to study universe, and then all of a sudden we got it down to specialty, and then all of a sudden we got it to be a political arm of this or that party. I'm saying now certificates are changing. Just this morning I'm reading that Google is now going to give instant certificates so you don't have to go to college because we need this kind of data processing, that. We're doing a certification program in our program called Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams, Your Destiny, where you're going to deep and you're going to become what we call a master asker. And we're going to train people to get a certificate and teach it. And we've just been asked by a brand new university system to teach everybody to become an entrepreneur. Now, my friend, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, the guy who took 100 million women so far out of poverty with microcredit, microfinance, starting in the poorest of poor countries. Dr. Henry Kissinger said Bangladesh is literally the hellhole of the world. This guy saw that rampant poverty. He was a Fulbright scholar, couldn't stand it. With his own $25, Dr. Yunus went out, started funding like 6 little women at a time, $25 so they could make shoes, they could make clothes, and do everything. And now he's got a bank that does $9 billion worth of funding to everyone. He says everyone ought to have two businesses, a prosper myself business and a growth business that helps the charity, the philanthropy, the spiritual interest that I totally believe in, and you just take 1% of that and you run it. But you ought to have two businesses rather than one. A social business that makes money for all that philanthropic goodwill stuff, and one that makes you a massive, vast profit so you're financially free and independent. There's publishing careers now in social media. There's nobody teaching YouTube before, and now there's a gazillion people teaching YouTube. They're teaching, everything on Instagram and every one of the social medias that exists, and I'm part of a brand new social media that's going to come out, and we think it's going to be bigger than Facebook. Can you imagine that? Everyone says nobody could be bigger than the 2.5 billion people on Facebook. Yes, they can. Because what am I saying to you? When you're in the information business, you have bigger, better, brighter ideas. And here's the point. You are born not rich. You are born super endowed. God gave you everything. The spiritual line is, it's my Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It says in the Bible, all that I have is yours. Seek first the kingdom, and the kingdom of heaven is within, and it shows up without. You'll know them by their fruits. What are your results? What am I saying? Social media is still at the front end. This whole thing is we're now learning and earning at miraculous levels thanks to technology, because technology can make us free. We let technology be the slave, not human slaves. I'm against human slavery. I'm against imprisonment. I want maximum freedom, and I want you to watch my Mastering Your 5 Freedoms, one of my other videos here that's up. The point is, there's amazing stuff that's ready to happen, and all the stuff with Zoom, which happened right as COVID came on, and all of a sudden 670 million people a month sign up. It's just crazy stuff's happening that never happened before in history. Now books. Our books are rocking. Book sales are way up, even though most books today are sold on Amazon or from Walmart or whatever. And now we're getting specialty people that are starting to sell it. Audios. Everyone's listening to audios and everyone's listening to podcasts. And last year, my wife and I have been on over 136 podcasts, some with 10 or 15 million people listening in Vietnam, which I would have told you, is that going to be a big market for us? Well, my 1 Minute Millionaire is the number one book sold there because I'm trying to keep them into capitalism and get out of communism, because communism is debilitating, denigrating, soul stealing. So I'm really into free enterprise. You can do magazines, and there are a lot of people doing electronic magazines now and newsletters, and there's infomercials going crazy, and new kinds of infomercials, and radio infomercials, and TV infomercials, and podcast infomercials, all kinds of stuff. One of the things I did is that I was the number one greeting card salesman at 9 years old for American Greeting Card Company. 30 years later, they come into my office and say, you're selling so many chicken soup books. How would you like to write greeting cards? And I said, wow, what a cool idea. Well, I sold 897,000 greeting cards a month at grocery stores. Now, if you told me when I was bankrupt and upside down in 1974, that was even a potential possibility, I would have said, get out of here. I wrote them, Jack edited them, we made them, they sold, and they went crazy. We did beautiful, different calendars. I got a friend, Charlie Trends Jones, who just passed away. Now his daughter, Dr. Tracy Jones, is running a company that does out-of-print books that they take the big book, put it into a little mini book, so you know all the words of Andrew Carnegie, the main thoughts of Booker T. Washington, and it's called, Jones Publishing out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where I visited him a lot of times. Then you got everything from movies, and the other subset of movies that all of you can do is a documentary. Because when I talked on the TV show with Adam Carolla, who did a great one called Uppity and one called on Paul Newman, because when Ford versus Ferrari came out, that went to the top, and all of a sudden Netflix calls him and said, give me everything you got on cars, because he's a car nut, he said. He says he does a 2-hour video on his iPhone and then cuts in all the other pictures. And you can go on Netflix and watch his stuff. He inspired me to a whole nother level of documentaries, which is in my future somewhere. Obviously, radio. There's big people's careers in radios, historically and ongoingly. Software is still at the front end. It's going to break through. There's going to be software shortly that it's going to be a watch that you wear that helps you sleep through the night like a baby, wake up and know that your heart rate was good, and whenever it changed it, it'll just tick-tock on you, so you'll go back into deep REM, rapid eye movement sleep, which is what you need at least 2 shots of, they say, per night. Games. I've met so many people that have made their fortune in games. We got a lady here in town that created the game for Rich Dad Poor Dad, Sharon Lecter, when she and Kiyosaki did the book. It started with a game. So the possibilities are only limited by your imagination, your imagination, your pictures inside that'll show up outside. What you impress, you will express. And I've obviously done 312 books. By the end of the show, I have about 318. We're doing more videos, more audios, more of these beautiful YouTube things than ever. All of my audios from the past, and I'm going to ask you to do one other thing. Archive all your writings, all your audios, all your videos if you're a speaker and presenter, because sooner or later there's going to be a new market for it. Like I didn't do that when I left my old building, but suddenly people are coming back with my audio tapes and they're saying, this has got to be a book, this has got to be a book, this has got to be a book. And all of them are becoming books, which is amazing to me. How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think was a best-selling set of audio tapes at Nightingale Conant, and now suddenly it's a book. Dreams Don't Have Deadlines. Super tape that saved a guy's life that is helping us with one of the apps and one of the software products that's going to end up bigger, he says, than Facebook, right? All this stuff is coming out that I did. 38 sets of tapes is becoming books all of a sudden. All different, all original, written exclusively by me. How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think. Just fun stuff that is just amazing to you. And yes, I've done a couple of infomercials with a guy that you've seen on TV. He's very famous, Dean Graziosi. And he's wonderful. And we made a fortune doing it and had a great time. So let me give you the principle. I'm in graduate school. I get enrolled I listened to this guy, Dr. Buckminster Fuller, say we're going to talk about cosmogony, cosmology, epistemology. We're going to talk about cartography. We're going to talk about synergetic energy. I'm blown away. We're going to talk about how to make the world work for 100% of humanity. I went and begged to work for him, read all 40 of his books, looked at all of his inventions, which are many, like Dymaxion cars, Dymaxion houses, floating cities, geodesic domes, humma. But he was Einstein's best student and finished Einstein's field theory. But he had an economic theory that I want you to embrace. I want you to really brand this into your brain. That's in the fabric of your being. He says, RW, real wealth, which is what I want you to have. Real wealth, RW equals ideas, which you can have. You have 50,000 ideas a day. I want you to start telling yourself before you go to sleep, God, give me $1 million making idea, $1 billion making idea, and repeat whatever that line is hundreds of times affirmationally, because affirmations are the words you say to yourself, you say to others that you believe, think about, act upon, then they act upon you, and then they become your result. Right? If you keep saying, I'm poor, I haven't got any money, can't get any money, every time I get it, I lose everything, blah, 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 blah. You badmouth yourself. But if you start saying, I am rich, the Bible says, let the weak say, I'm strong. Let the poor say, I'm rich. That's how Solomon got to be the richest man of all times, worth over $4 trillion in today's dollars. But real wealth equals ideas. Everybody's got to have ideas, and those ideas, Solomon would say, go for the wisdom of those ideas times energy. Well, Bucky Fuller would explain E equals MC squared, and he wrote it, and they said, well, kid, you went to Harvard, but there's only 11 people that know Einstein, and your name's not on the list. He said, there's only one person that would know. Well, he gets this call from Albert. Dr. Einstein says, young man, you're absolutely a mess. Come over here to Princeton, be with me. Bucky said, E is all the energy of physical universe. It only takes two forms. Matter, solid stuff. And radiance, light, right? In spiritual language, there's two things. There's spirit, and then there's matter. Spirit congeals as matter. Thoughts congeal as the result. What you impress, you're going to express. So if you impress it, you're going to have wealth, have abundance, right? The oldest spiritual literature, the Upanishad, says, out of abundance, he or she took abundance, and still abundance remained. That's real wealth. Equals ideas times energy. Universe can only be rich. Universe is 15 billion years old. The earth is 5 billion years old. It's got every resource you want. Universe, here's the big thinking, which I'm writing to right now. Universe, just like Dr. Hawking said, and I hope you saw his video on Netflix, I hope you read some of his books, considered the smartest man ever after Einstein, but Hawking said universe, ladies and gentlemen, is a hologram. Universe is plastic. Universe is malleable. Universe is fungible, meaning what you impress, you'll express, right? You impress that I impressed the world that I was going to be the world's best-selling author before I was it. You got to be it before you can become it, before you can do it, before you can have it. That's the point. Real wealth. I had real wealth in my head before I had the ideas to have the wealth, before I expressed my energy, my enthusiasm, my activity, and my result-generating force. Because thoughts and ideas are the source of all wealth, all success, all material gain, all great discoveries, all inventions, all songs, and all achievement. And guess what? They're available to you. The bottom line, folks, as we're saying, ideas create all wealth. Ideas make you rich. One great idea, one key contact, and voila, you have a fortune. One more time, because ideas are here to create your wealth, and you are one great idea. Now, you have a lot of ideas, but you got to start sorting and saying, what is my greatest idea? What is the idea that I can do? What is the idea I can make my fortune with? And who is it I need to contact with, to mastermind with? And we'll talk about this other one. Two come together to have a power of 11. When Jack and Mark got together, power of 11. When Crystal and Mark got together, power of 11. When I got with Preston together, that's a mastermind. You have a third new mind. You have an electric aura. You have, remember, it's spirit. My spirit is impressing universe to say, this is my identity. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. That's my great idea. You send that out into the universe, conscious into subconscious, out into superconscious. You've got to meet people that are like-minded, because like attracts like. The birds of a feather flock together. You're going to have the right people show up if you're doing the right thinking to get the right results right here, right now, all because you ask the right questions. And remember, it's your right to be rich. Poverty is a mental disease, and we've got to cure it by, when you get done listening to this tens of times or hundreds of times until you've branded it into your brain, like I said, and etched in the fabric of your brain, share it with somebody else that you want to partner with so you get rich together. Because let's make everybody rich everywhere. There's more than enough. There's fundamental abundance, and it's up to us having the ideas that we can be rich so we can all be rich and make everyone better off and no one worse off for the first time in history.